Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you're coming back. Welcome, this is your first time here. My name is Marissa Price. I am a social worker, business educator dedicated to creating safe spaces on the internet, which is rare for Black women to heal. So I have a lovely guest, my amazing friend, Alecia Renece, the artist, here today to talk about lessons to our younger selves.
Yes.
And there's a lot I wish I could teach my younger self. So I'm excited for this conversation.
Me
Yes, I will
too.
pass it over to you to introduce yourself.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for
Yeah.
having me. I'm really excited for this conversation. My name's Alecia. I am Alecia Renece. I am an artist. Hi Marcus. I'm an artist. I am a multi passionate creative. I make music. I write. I take pictures. I have conversations. I'm just a lover of life. So
I love
here we
that.
are.
I love that. Lover of life. Yes. So we can jump right in. Like, how would you describe yourself as a younger
Oh,
person? I know for
so
me, I had to,
oh
yeah, please, please.
no, please go ahead.
I was gonna say for me, I had to kind of go back through like my memory bank and even remember who I was because it feels like so long ago. Because we kind of feel like disconnected from our younger selves, which is one of the things we're going to talk about. It's like once you enter into adulthood, it feels like that part of your life is over. Or that's what they try to convince us of.
Yes.
So yeah, I would love to hear about who you were as
Oh,
a younger
well,
person.
thanks for asking. To
Yeah.
even like you, I had to go back and think about like the question I asked is like, who am I when I feel the safest? Like when I
Mhm.
feel like at
Yes.
home with myself, and who I
Mhm.
was as a kid. I was a dreamer, an idealist, a child, like literally a child,
Yeah.
loved, creative, a hopeful romantic. Like and much of what I'm describing is also like who I am now. Like I
Yeah.
romanticize everything.
Hmm.
A friend, a healer, a life learner, a joy bringer. And that actually was given to me by somebody else who said, like, I have a
I
joy
love that.
bringing. Me too. It
A
made me feel
joy
so
bringer.
good.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. An experimenter, a nature lover, a storyteller. And I was very curious and open and shy.
Hmm.
So,
Yes. Me
yes.
too. Yeah, I was very
Yes.
shy too. I was
Yeah.
very like to myself, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And that might have to do something with my environment, right? Because it was like
Yeah.
not that great of an environment most
Mm-hmm.
times. So it's like having to protect yourself and you kind of go within sometimes, at least that
Yeah.
was the case for me.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, kind of coming back into myself now,
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm around people who get me, has been amazing to try to like wake
Yes.
those parts of myself back up that were
Yes.
kind of left
Yes.
dormant for so long. So yeah,
Yeah. I love that.
yeah. The educator says yes. I have my younger self pic next to my TV. I love that.
That's
I love
beautiful.
that. I love that. The educator, yes, hello. And I just read your comment. Thank you. Thank
Oh,
you so
yay.
much. So yeah, I'm officially a YouTube partner, Abe. But thank y'all so much for your comments and everything that you left today. I have loved reading those today. So yeah, Maya, hey,
Hello.
yes.
Hi,
That's your
Mom.
mom, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yes. All right. I would love to know, how does your younger self show up in who you are today?
So, right before we came on, right, I
Yeah.
was like, I think I'm going to go with the pom poms, right? And I
Yes.
think the younger me just went for stuff. I just did stuff, right? I
Me
didn't,
too.
right? Like, I
Yeah.
didn't
Uh-huh.
think that much about, like, oh, how are people going to think about this? Or, like, what if this doesn't make sense? I think my younger self wants to show up more, but I think it's like the adult me that's like, no, we have to be serious. And, we got to take things, seriously as an adult and that kind of stuff. So I think every day that I am listening to music and singing and getting out of my head or,
Hmm.
playing around with stuff, wearing stuff on my head that makes no sense, right? Experimenting with stuff. Like that's my child coming out to play. Like, hey girl, we're still here,
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Kind of just having fun with the process. Like
Yeah.
giving yourself that space to experiment. And like you said, like pick back stuff up that you used to do when you were younger. I think that's key just to exploring that side and giving yourself time and space to figure
Exactly.
out who you are again. Because a lot of us kind of lose ourselves as we enter adulthood. We
Yeah.
lose our passions, we lose the things that brought us so much joy. And so tapping back into that is key, I think, to
Yeah.
healing too.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sarah.
Hi.
Hey. Hey y'all. Glamazini, hey! Yes, yes. I am in Glamazini's Plan Year 2024 coaching
Yay.
program right now. And it's
Yes.
amazing. So
Oh.
yes, yes. Tea Time Beauty, hey, happy Thursday. Yes. And I'll be talking to Tea Time Beauty on December 28th about setting your intentions for 2024. So
That's
yes.
exciting.
Yeah. Okay. So I do have some themes here that we're going to get into, but I would love to hear y'all's take on these themes as we go throughout, just so we can learn from each other.
Yes.
Um, but the first theme is conformity and peer pressure, which is huge, which is huge. And the question is like, do you remember the age when you began to feel the pressure to conform and hide the parts of yourself that others didn't find acceptable?
Yeah.
And I'll just say, like, for me, that was middle school. Middle school was so hard. It's like that in between phase. It's like you're kind of a kid, you're kind of entering into like teenagehood, but it feels
Yeah.
very awkward.
It's awkward. Yeah.
It is. It's so awkward. And I
Yes.
know, like, for a lot of us, like, experiencing like bullying and stuff like that, which was the case for me, it's hard. It's just a
It
really
is.
hard, like, 3 year period that feels like it's never going to end,
Yes.
right?
Yes. It was the best of
It's
times. It
like,
was the worst of times.
oh,
Like,
yes.
yeah.
It feels, oh, it was horrible. So if
Yeah.
y'all have any like takes on middle school, I would love to hear them. But yeah,
Yes.
Alecia, what
That
about, yeah.
Yeah, when you asked me that, I really was like, I think during kindergarten actually was like when I felt pressure to conform in a kindergarten way, right? Like we're still
Yeah.
seen as kids, but for the most part by that time I was at home with my mom, or with like a babysitter or something or but I was able to be free. There was no
Right.
like, oh, you have to sit here for these many hours and you have to, do all these things. And so when I went into the school, I was myself, but I was made fun of like
Mm-hmm.
because I was weird. I was a weirdo at 5. And I didn't really understand what that really meant, right? I was like, why are they so uncomfortable with me? Like what's going on?
Mm.
When I felt very safe with myself, but then people were showing me like, oh, actually it's not safe to be yourself because I'm getting bullied by 5-year-olds, right? Like,
Wow.
yeah,
I started
yeah.
at 5.
Oh yeah, it's actually started before
Yeah.
then. Like I remember,
Okay.
so my father was in the Navy, and so I was on the base, and I had to been like 3 or 4, and the kids there, I was friends with this other boy named Matthew, right? And
Mm-hmm.
but the kids there were really mean to me. I remember like my teeth getting messed up for something, and like I remember being a
Yeah.
loner. Like I was just very alone.
Yeah.
Except for Matthew. And even then I knew that I was weird, but it wasn't until I got into the school system where I'm just like,
Yes.
oh, and the teachers, I think they would call me a problem child and mom's here. I don't know. But back then what I remember is like being a problem child and then realizing, oh, actually like I just was bored. Like I was really bored in class. Like
Mm.
the stuff that we were learning I had already learned. My mom had already taught me. So like I'm a problem child because I'm just like, what am I doing? What am I doing all this for? Right? So I think it was then that I was like, okay, I have to quiet myself. I have to be respectful, whatever that means. I have to be orderly. We need to be in lines. Everybody needs to do the same thing. I just didn't come from that background. So,
Mm.
I came from a house where I was like myself. And then you're going into this place for 8 hours where people are telling you, actually, who you are is wrong. Let me actually tell you how you're supposed to be, So I think
Yeah.
that's, yeah. Yeah.
You touched on something, the order for everything. It's like stay in line, like stay at your desk, don't say anything. As a kid,
Yes.
even, right? That goes against like
Kid
kids.
things,
The
right?
nature of kids is to ask questions, is to get up from your seat, to
Yes.
explore. But you're like told you have to stay still all the time and like just
Yeah.
listen to what someone says in the American school system, right?
Exactly.
In the West.
Exactly.
It's like, ooh, that's a lot. It's just like focused on control all the time, I feel like.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah. You said something else about being bored. Like, I think that's the case for a lot of us because we have like advanced minds, right? That
Yes.
don't really fit into these like school systems that want us to
Yeah.
be robots all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's like this, I don't know. I guess based on how I was raised, I wasn't doing all that, right? Like I didn't like how I learned, mom. Yes, you were born in class. Yes. And it was like, I'm here in this room. I went to school very excited. Like, I'm here to explore. I'm here to meet new people. Like, that's how it was. Oh, you're going to meet new friends. It's going to be fine. And then you go in there and
Yeah.
it's like, actually, there's no time to talk to your friends. There's no
There's
time to
not.
meet anybody. No,
Even as a
like,
kid.
like I don't want to be here. I want to go home. you know?
Exactly.
So.
I remember having that exact feeling in
Mm-hmm.
first grade, I think. Like,
Oh.
I do not want to be here. And
Mm-mm.
that just came over me because it was like so confining
Yes.
all the time. Like sitting
Yeah.
at your desk, like you said, for 8 hours a day. They're
Yeah.
priming you to enter the workforce, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
To be a
Mm-hmm.
robot in
Exactly.
the workforce. Like, ooh, it
Even back
sucks
then,
so
I was a
well.
rebel. Like, no.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this.
Yes, yes. It's just like, oh, it's
Yeah.
so confining. It really
Mm-hmm.
is. Sunny says, very early, I was raised by TV and books, so I spoke with a lot of articulation.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a Black environment, and children and adults often pressured me to use more AAVE.
That's
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Thank you
was
for
told that
sharing.
I
Mm-hmm.
talk white growing up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, yeah, I understand that, like, oh, you're not black enough. And as a child, you don't understand what that means. Like,
Oh,
what does that mean to talk white? What does that even mean? Right? Like,
right.
I'm talking. You understand what I'm saying. So interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And I grew up in like all white environments for my whole
Mm-hmm.
life. So it was me constantly trying to fit into, talk
Mm.
like, look like white people all the time.
Yes. Wow.
And that's a
Yeah.
whole
Yes, it
other thing.
is.
Yeah.
Yes.
What we're
yes.
recovering from. Yeah. Yeah. Sonny says they often said I was trying to be white. Yeah. Hold on one second. I was just learning socialization from the media around me because no one was in my home after school.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
That
you.
makes sense.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Okay. I guess the next question. What lessons would you share with your younger self then around the pressure to conform and peer pressure that you experienced all the
Yeah.
time?
So, what I wrote down, I said, "You're a
Yeah.
weirdo." And it doesn't,
Yes.
yes, you're a weirdo. Like, own it,
Hey,
right? Like,
right.
and I said, it doesn't feel good to be rejected, right? But please don't reject yourself. You are made of everything good. You are magical. That's what I would say to myself.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you're made of everything good. You're magical.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. I think for me, I would say you don't fit in,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay. You don't have to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's so much pressure to fit in, to conform, to look like someone that you're not supposed to look like all the time. It's like, it's a lot. And sometimes it does feel unbearable. Like it feels like it will never end, especially in middle school. It felt like just, those were the longest 3 years of my life.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. That was a
Trauma.
long time.
Yes.
And
Yes.
everyone like keeps telling you like this is the best time of your
Mm-hmm.
life. We always hear that when we're younger, at these ages, but it just
Yeah.
feels so hard.
Yeah.
There's never any room for our true feelings in a lot of these
Yes.
spaces.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
something you said about like it's okay to not fit in, right? I think
Yeah.
I wish that I knew that everyone didn't have to like me for me to approve of me,
Ooh.
right? Like
Yes.
everybody
Yes.
don't have to be my friend. Everybody don't have to. And I think when I was younger, I was like, I really wanted everybody to be because I didn't understand. Like I really didn't have a real good understanding, to be fair, of what friendship was, right? Like I went into the world like, oh, the world is safe. Everybody is
Mm-hmm.
nice. Like everybody is just like me.
Right.
And I remember coming home and being heartbroken and my mom being like, those ain't your friends or everybody ain't your friend, right? And I'm like, no, like, but I think I can win them over. But I wish I spent more time, one, spending time with the people that actually were my friend and stop spending
Mm-hmm.
so much energy and time trying to get people to like me. Like we're taught to take, like, we need the approval of everybody. And it's like, we don't.
Yes.
You don't. People are
No.
allowed to not like you. And it means nothing about you.
Ooh. Yeah.
Like, so yeah.
That's key. That's key. I think I'm still learning that today. People are
Same.
allowed to not like you. Because I will try. I will try. Like,
Same.
ooh, yeah. Trying to convince
Yes.
people to see you. It's like, no, that takes up too
Mm.
much energy. Just go
That,
around the
yep.
people who already see you, right?
Exactly.
Instead of trying
Exactly.
to force that. Yes. Yeah. Tea time beauty. I'm gonna read your comment. Yes. In third grade, I went to school in my PJs the day before actual pajama day. I was so
Oh,
excited, but I judged myself heavily after the ridicule I faced from my peers.
oh,
It felt humiliating at that time. I'm sorry.
yeah. I'm
I'm
really sorry.
sorry. And
Yes.
like at that age, like being made fun of by your peers is like, it feels like your world's gonna end.
Yes.
right?
It feels like death.
It
Like
does.
death. Yes.
It
Because
does.
that's all you know. That's your whole social,
That's
like
it.
beyond like whatever you do outside of school. That's the people you spend the most time with. So it's
Hmm.
like this incubator
Yes,
of like angst and yeah, it's a lot. That's a
it
lot.
is. So much. It's so much. Mara says, yes. I loved school when I was a kid. I used to cry when I had to miss school. Crazy not. Oh,
Oh,
wow.
that's
That's
dope.
awesome, though. Thank you.
It is.
Thank you for sharing that. Black Artivism. Hello. Hello. Yes. Deja says, yes. I got told all the time that I talked white. Like, what
Mhm.
does that even mean? What does that mean? Truly.
Yeah.
Truly. Yes. Mara says, I think school was an escape for me. I
Mm-hmm.
grew up as an only child and my mom was toxic, so I love being around other kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you. Thank you. You're made of everything good. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Gems as always.
Oh, that makes me happy. You as well. You
Oh,
as
thank
well.
you. Thank
Yes.
you. Okay. I guess the next theme to talk about, which is huge, self-esteem and body image, especially being
Girl.
socialized as a girl.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it was a lot.
Yes.
Um, so yes, did you experience any struggles with self-esteem and body image, and if so, how did they impact you?
Ooh. In elementary school, I was called a horse. They said I look like a monkey because I have big gums. It is what it is, right? Like like my lip curls up when I smile. And at the time, I hated my smile. I hated it. I was like, because every time I smiled, I was made fun of. I was also the tallest person in my class. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
in elementary school, it was me and this other boy named Daniel. He and I were always like standing right next to each
Neck and
other.
neck.
Shout out to Daniel. Yes. so like you're almost seen as older than what you really are. When you're tall, you're treated like that. Even by it's interesting, like even by teachers and things like that. Like you don't really think about it until like you're older. It's like, wow, like by being
Mm-hmm.
bigger than all the other people, you know what I'm saying? Like you're treated
Right.
like you're bigger than all the other people. It's like, no, I'm still 6, right? Um, and I think because I was made fun of, I didn't like to smile. I didn't like how tall I was. I was called manly in elementary school, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then in elementary school, I also developed. I also started my period. I developed breasts. Like,
Right.
I was becoming a woman at 11 years old. And for me, that
Yeah.
was a lot. Like, it was just, you talking about that
Mm-hmm.
angst that I'm still a child, but now I'm being treated like an adult, right? I can't go
Right.
swimming when the kids go swimming. I can go play on the playground. Trying to navigate, I mean, using pads, right? Having
Mm-hmm.
accidents
That's
in elementary
a
school, bleeding
that's
through
a
your
whole thing.
pants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so my body for a long time felt like it was my enemy. Like it felt like it was working against me. It was destroying my childhood. It was destroying my playtime. And so I think with that along with seeing the images on like the TV, what
Yeah.
do you call it? Music videos. None of the girls look like
Oh.
me. None of them look like me. Like
Mm-hmm.
all of them were like really really light skinned. They had long
Yeah.
hair.
Mm-hmm.
Um and why was I watching that at 11 years old anyway? That's a whole different conversation, but I shouldn't have been watching
Right.
that because it destroyed the way that I viewed myself. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, there was a time when my grandmother, who has passed on, my grandmommy, she subscribed me, and I think it was Essence or Ebony.
Mm-hmm.
It was Essence or Ebony, and I would cut out pictures of women and like ask God to make me look like these women. It was bad. Like it was really bad. Like I had really really bad self-esteem with my body. And
Yeah.
it never happened obviously because I still look like me. But I think even still again, I could not see my own beauty. Like
Mm-hmm.
nothing. People could tell me all day, "You're so beautiful." My mom would tell me all the time. I'm like, "You're my mom, you have to say that." Right? Like you're just being nice, or my family's just saying that, but I didn't feel beautiful. Um yeah. So 11 years old, around that age and beyond and before that, I
Mm-hmm.
definitely felt at war with my body. So yeah.
Me
Yeah.
too. Me
Yeah.
too. That's so real. And like growing up in the early 2000s,
Girl.
that was horrible. Like you said, the
Yes.
music videos alone,
Yes.
trying to emulate that, it's like, oh my gosh, watching that at such a young age. Like I was
Mhm.
watching reality TV. The stuff I had access to, I'm like, if I was a parent, like,
Yes.
there's no
Turn it
way.
off. Turn
But
it
back
off.
then, it felt like it was like normalized,
Mhm.
right?
For
to like
sure.
watch these things and like
Yeah.
consume them at such a young age. Like
Yeah.
even like Extreme Makeover, I remember watching that show all the time. It's like
Wow.
I had
Yeah.
my plan of like plastic surgery that I was gonna get after I graduated high school at such a young age.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah. And it's
Like
like the
you're
teen yeah, sorry, but
no,
like
no,
the teen
no.
magazines. The teen
Yes.
magazines, yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like you're not even done becoming who you are. You know
You're
what I
not.
mean? Like
You're not.
you're not.
Mm-mm.
Wow. Like I'm still becoming. Like my body is still
Yeah,
changing and it always is
exactly.
changing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so sad. I'm sorry. But
Yeah.
I definitely
Thank you.
understand that. I do understand that.
Yeah, yeah. And those are like formative years, right?
Hmm.
Especially in your brain development. You're developing into who you are. And it's like having
Yeah.
all of these images, the media is something else,
Yeah.
especially in the US. The
Yes.
media is something else.
It is. It
And
is.
having that, yeah, that constant pressure to look like something else that you don't look like.
That
And
part.
it kind of teaches you that what you look like is not right,
Yep.
that you're not beautiful how you look. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And I think just like the pressure to shrink all the time. So I felt that like with my body, with my voice, with my opinions
Mm-hmm.
all the time. And it's just now like coming into, I'm about to be in my 30s now, coming back into who I was.
Yeah.
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 And like
Yeah.
realizing nothing was wrong with me that whole time.
Nothing.
Even though
Wow.
everyone tried to convince me, it felt like all this pressure
Mm-hmm.
from everyone telling me that I wasn't. But yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
nothing's wrong with me the whole time.
At all. At all.
Yeah.
It's really like I really do feel like I feel for our I mean I feel like I feel for every generation, but I do feel like for us like the media was so accessible like you're talking about, right? Like
Yeah.
cable, right? And having access to these things after school programming,
Ooh.
going to watch, you know, MTV instead of PBS or oh, thank you baby. That's so sweet. Thank you. But watching, you know, what is it called? The Box or I don't
Mm.
know. 106 in
Yeah.
Park, like all these different things where
Oh
these people
no.
are yes, all
No.
these people
Six apart.
just like and seeing these and I remember there was a video by Ludacris. The song is awful, but whatever. It's like I wanna whatever. It's a song called I Wanna and in the video, like he's, you know, talking about all these women and describing them and I'm just like, wow, like that's actually nothing like what I look like. And I just
Yeah.
wish that at that age I wasn't concerned about how I looked. Like you talk about the male gaze, right? I wish I wasn't
Yes.
concerned as a youth about how men look
Mm-hmm.
at me.
Yes. Mm. Me too. Me too.
Mm.
Yeah. And there's a certain thing you have to like keep in mind, right, to stay safe in a
Mm-hmm.
patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have to see yourself through the eyes of men. But to the level I was socialized at, like only seeing myself through that, like
Hmm.
everything I wore, everything I said, how is this going to be perceived by a man? That's a lot. That's
It
a
is
lot
a
of brain
lot.
space that takes up.
It
That could be used
is.
for something else.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And to that always being it's like when you talk about brain space, you're not even like you said, you're not even looking at yourself through your own eyes, right? You have to be in the mind of someone
Yes,
else. Hi.
you do.
You have to be in the mind of someone else and try to anticipate like, oh, what will this person say? What will this person think? And I remember even at a certain age, again, when I developed at 11, right? It's like, oh, I can no longer wear these things. Like, oh, I
Right.
have to, oh, now I got to wear a bra. Like, what does that even mean, right? Oh, you can no
Yes.
longer and not for any fault of my own, like nothing is wrong with my body, something is wrong with these men, that they are
Yes.
predators and they're
Mm-hmm.
preying on children. And I
Yes.
remember like getting that talk from my mom and like, oh, you can't wear this, you can't do this, and that like that kind of messaging. And my mom is just trying to keep me safe because she knows what it's like to grow up as a girl and a woman in this world, right? And
Yeah.
so it's really sad because I don't think that a lot of men consider that, and I don't think a lot of
Mm-hmm.
them care, to be fair, right? Like, but I
That's
don't
true.
think that a lot of them don't consider
That's
how
true.
unsafe it feels to be in a black girl body
Mm-hmm.
and always feel like you have to brace yourself for something. Like you have to be your own
Mm-hmm.
protector, and even still it's still not enough.
Right.
It's
Right.
still not enough.
That's so
Anyway, but yeah.
true. That's so true. Yeah. Yeah. And especially I'll say like growing up in white environments, I felt that acutely all the time. Like the spotlight on me, like protecting myself because no one else was gonna do it. Right. So that's a lot of stuff to carry at like 11, 10
Yeah.
years old.
Mm-mm.
That's a lot.
Like you
That's a
shouldn't
lot.
have to.
Yeah.
You should have been protected.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But I do want to ask about your song, Body
Yes.
Beautiful, and the
Yes.
inspiration behind it. I love it. I love
Yes.
that
Thank
song.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're welcome.
Um. This. So this song came from trying to heal my own body image issues.
Yeah.
Um. I really had to sit with, we say these affirmations and it's like I want to believe it though. You know what I mean? And so I had to really like journal and figure like why am I beautiful? Like seriously, like why am I beautiful? Like and how do I want to define beauty?
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I don't want to define my beauty based on what white men think anymore. Like I'm
Oh,
not interested. I don't care. you know like
yes.
for real. Like
For
and
real. Yes.
yes, and beauty to me is such and like it's an opportunity for real reflection. Like what is real beauty? It is not based on what you can see necessarily. Beauty for me is more than what is aesthetically pleasing based on again like white features. Like, oh, are you
Mm-hmm.
thin? Do you have long hair? Like are your eyes light colored? Do you have a broad nose or a thin nose? Like all these different things and I'm just like but I
Mm-hmm.
know that I see beautiful black women every single day, even if they are not celebrated as the beautiful women. And for me, beauty is in the details, right? It's in the gap in between the tooth. It's in the what do you call it? Oh, the dimple. It's
Mm-hmm.
in the moles. Like it's in the very fabric of our bodies. And I realize like my body is a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yep.
my body is a whole miracle and here I am disrespecting my body because it doesn't look good to white men or look good to I don't to anybody, right? It doesn't look good to
Mm-hmm.
anybody else. And it's like my body is literally working right now for my good. My body loves
Mm-hmm.
me. My body
Yep.
loves me. Like that's a fact. And so like and also believe that my creator created my body with intention. Like
Mm-hmm.
I believe that I was created in my mother's womb. I was knit together. And so if that is true, then I am a work of art. And my body is a miracle. And so like that literally was like the lyrics to the song were like, "Oh my body is a miracle. Oh my body," right? Like just like a love
Yeah.
song to my body. My body is a miracle. My body is beautiful. And then I added the part that says like, if they don't like it, I will love it. I
Mm-hmm.
will love this body. If you don't like it, okay. So what? Like
That's fine.
you don't have to live in
Right.
it. This is my
Yeah.
home, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, so that song is like a meditation for me and a reminder that like when you get caught up in like the beauty standards or trying to chase beauty trends or fashion trends or whatever it is, trying to achieve beauty, it's like, girl, you are already beautiful.
Mm.
You're already beautiful. Like they just blinded you to your own beauty. They gave you eyes to see what they want to see, like what they wanted you to see. But you
Mm-hmm.
can see. You can
Right.
see. And I find things beautiful that other people don't, and I don't need their approval or their opinion to do so. Like so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind like beauty is an exchange of laughter or a joke between friends. It's like it's so much more than just consuming a body. My body's not here to be consumed. My body is here to be loved and by me first. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
so that's where that inspiration came from. So yeah.
Thank you.
Of
Thank you.
course.
My
Thank you
body
for
is not here to
asking.
be consumed. Yes. You're welcome. You're welcome. That was a word. My body is not here to be consumed.
Mm-mm.
Ooh. Hmm. Gotta sit with that one. Yes. That is so true. But yeah, I would love to hear like the lessons you would share with your younger
Mm-hmm.
self just around self-esteem and body image because that's huge.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it
huge.
is.
Yeah.
It is. Um, so I said, you're made up of a beautiful community of cells and organs and blood and tissue that love you. Your body loves you. Your body is a love letter made up of all who came before you. You are lovely, beyond what the eye can see. That's what I would say to myself.
Ooh, beautiful.
Yay, thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks for asking.
Yes. See, Time Beauty says, yes, amen. Our body is our temple for our spirit to reside. Yeah,
Yes.
it is a
Yes.
miracle. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, why would we see ourselves as anything other than a miracle?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's really oppression at work
Yes.
because we all come here having that self image and then slowly over time it like disintegrates,
Yeah.
right? Because we're told, like you said, how close are we to whiteness?
Mm-hmm.
That is how beauty is measured in the West.
Yep.
In the US, especially, it feels intensified. How
Yes.
close are you to whiteness? That's how
Yeah.
beautiful you are. Yeah.
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 Hmm.
But yeah, said for me, okay, lessons I would share with my younger self.
Yes.
You're beautiful just as you are. What you're being told to emulate is not the only option. So whiteness is not the only option for beauty. That
Period.
is but one very small option. And your validation should only come from within, right? Because we're taught to seek validation externally all the time. And that sets us up in a trap
Mm-hmm.
to
For
constantly
sure.
seek validation from other people. It's like, no, you can have that from yourself.
Yes.
And that
And
makes it
like,
permanent.
yes. And that's enough, right? Like,
That's
who
enough.
said that you need other people's permission to do anything? Minus, like, obviously, what's illegal, right? But like, or harmful. But you don't need anybody's permission to think anything about yourself.
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't. No, not at all. Okay. Moving to the next theme. This is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all that you have shared so far.
Thanks for
Um,
asking.
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So, mental health and emotional
Mm-hmm.
well being. This is
Mm-hmm.
huge.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like my focus area, right? Mental health and aspects of that. But what was it like being a sensitive girl in a harsh world? I know it was hard for me. It was hard for me. It's still hard for me, right?
Yes.
But I would love to hear like what was that like growing up,
Oh,
being sensitive.
yeah. Hard.
Yeah,
Because you walk around thinking you're the problem. You walk around
you do.
thinking, yes, like you're broken or like you need to be fixed. Um, and so my mother is also sensitive, but when we go back home, like, so my mom's from like the Philadelphia area. When we go back home, um, I was often told that I'm too sensitive.
Hmm.
You're so sensitive. Stop all that crying. You sensitive. Like I would cry when we would leave our family get-togethers because I didn't want to leave my family. Like I'd be like, no, I don't want to go, and I would ask to stay another day, but I would cry, and like they let me stay, but like I think for them, my family is also very sensitive, but how they express it is different. They make a lot of jokes. My family's a very joking family. I joke, but I'm not necessarily like joking like them. I'm very much like wearing my heart on my sleeves. And I think for them, it made them uncomfortable, some of them. Like, I think some of them is like, I don't know what to do with all these feelings, okay? Like, so, so, but they also have sensitivities. So I think walking around in real life, you feel so vulnerable all the time. And like, before someone had told me, like, actually, it's okay to be sensitive, I was trying to like let me build. They said build tougher skin. You need thick skin. I've tried. Okay,
Hmm.
it's not
Me
working.
too.
It's
It
not
never
working.
works. It has never
No,
worked for
no,
me.
never. No,
Never.
never. It made me a liar. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
I ended up lying about how I felt or convincing myself you shouldn't feel this way because nobody else feels this way. Um, but looking back, right, I realized like that's a superpower. Like I didn't
It is.
realize. Yeah, the
Hmm.
sensitivity. Like you can pick up when people aren't even saying anything. You can pick up on things. Like you just know things.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and it also, I was also very empathetic, right? Like walking through the world, I felt bad for like I wanted to fix the world. Like no,
Hmm.
like it doesn't have to be this way. Like there are things that we can do. So it made me a very passionate person, and I didn't know what to do with those passions. Like I'm just me and my journal just going in, but like
Yeah,
so growing
can
up,
relate.
yes,
Yes.
yes, and growing up, it was really hard because I didn't understand why people were so mean. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand how people couldn't care. I didn't understand how people can be like reserved and like, oh, that's none of my business. It felt like everything was my business. I don't know if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Okay.
That makes perfect sense because I felt the
Yeah.
same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was
Hmm.
rough. It was rough.
Yeah. 'Cause things affected me so deeply from such a young
Mm-hmm.
age. And
Yes.
having people around me that didn't necessarily feel like that,
Exactly.
um, it's like you feel isolated.
Yes.
Like you said, you feel like something is wrong with you,
Yeah.
but it's really you're gifted. You're spiritually gifted to be able to feel things so
Yes.
deeply because not
Yes.
everyone has that ability, right?
Mm-mm. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I remember, I think it was after Hurricane Katrina, I had put together like a collection box and I went around my neighborhood to collect donations for people who had experienced, the hardships after Hurricane Katrina. Because I was like, no one's doing anything.
Yes.
And I was
Yes.
watching that and ingesting that as a young person. I'm like, okay, I got to
Mm-hmm.
do something. And I've
Yes.
always felt that way from such a young age.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
that's
That's
real.
beautiful. Oh my gosh. If you had rang my doorbell, I'm like, oh my gosh, here's all my money. Like, that
Oh
is
my
so
God.
sweet. So sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, yeah, I was affected by things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's my mother told me this story about how she accidentally hit a goose with, was it a goose? I don't know, ma. Or deer or something. Anyway, somebody, she saw somebody hit a goose. And she
Yeah.
told me like the goose like this looked disoriented or whatever, disoriented. And I went back in my room and I cried. Like I cried like a
Mm.
baby for that goose. Like I've never seen it. I don't know. I hope that goose was fine. But like stuff like little things like that like would, and to me it's not little. So I'm not going to, let me not disrespect myself. Things like that would
Right.
make me upset. Or I went out to happy hour with my friends and there was a skunk that was wounded and walking around like
Mm-hmm.
outside of the Applebee's that we were at, and a deer. Okay, mom said it was deer. So we were walking around at Applebee's, and the skunk was like wobbling and falling. I went back home to my husband. When I tell you
Mm-hmm.
I cried myself to sleep, like I was
Mm-hmm.
inconsolable, and I think I'm just a person with big emotions, and like you know what that feels like to care so
Yes.
much. And it really grieved me because I'm just like, these are these skunks' home. This is this
Right.
goose's home, right? Like
Yeah.
they're being harmed by vehicles, right? That they're not even prepared to understand how fast vehicles move. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
we're cutting down their homes, their trees. They have nowhere to go, and now he's in a parking lot struggling. Like, who do I call? What do I do? Right? I don't know.
Right.
It just really it broke my heart. It
Mm-hmm.
broke my heart. I will cry at commercials. I will, like, I'm just a very
Me too.
feely person. Yes. Yes. You're my people, okay? Like,
Sensitives. Yes.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And also with sensitivity, like,
Mm-hmm.
so because I'm sensitive, I feel very deeply, no matter what it
Yes.
is, right? If it's
Mm-hmm.
love, if it's anger,
Mm-hmm.
if it's sadness, sorrow. And so I think a lot of people, they'll be like, "Oh, Alecia, you're really nice," and I think that I'm nice. I hope I'm kind, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also, when I'm passionate about something, when
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for justice, when I'm looking for, like, I'm passionate about that, right? I'm passionate about everything that I do, and so that includes like seeking justice for people. You know what I'm saying? So like for me, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
don't like people being mistreated. There needs to be correction for this, right? Like, and oftentimes because I was sensitive and I feel stuff, I
Yep.
act as like the in between for a lot of people, and that also gets you
Mm-hmm.
into some trouble sometimes because people don't want to hear it, right? So it's like for people, one thing that I want to say, and I feel like I'm on a tangent, but one
No, no,
thing,
no. You're good.
okay, one thing I'm grateful for is my mother gave me language. She gave me words. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm very good at using my words. And so for me, when there are people who are struggling with communicating something, sometimes I can be that voice for somebody else who might not be able to like say what they're trying to say or might be afraid to say what they're trying to say. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people aren't ready for that kind of honesty, right? A lot of people walk through life very guarded, and
True.
and
That's
and
true.
from and I don't. And
Mm-hmm.
so if there's like a problem or something, like I want to talk about it. And so I realize like, oh, actually everybody's not as in tune with their emotions. That's what I'm trying to say. Not everybody is
Mm-hmm.
as in tune with their emotions as I am, and I felt like, oh, there's something wrong with me, and it's like, oh no, actually they're just not there yet. Give them time. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
give them time to think about it. So that's what I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to say.
Yeah. And it's like the environments we grow up in often don't allow space for emotions. And if you do show emotions, it's like people get irritated, like you said, because that kind of brings up something in them sometimes that they're not ready to address. And then
That.
they'll lash out at you
Mm-hmm.
and make you feel like something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
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 I experience that often. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But you said something about justice, which
Mm-hmm.
I can so relate to. I think that's why I was kind of drawn to social work, or what I thought was social work, because I have
Yeah.
thoughts about social but yeah, seeking justice for
Yeah.
people.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see something is wrong, I'm going to say something,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that has gotten me like in a toxic job that wasn't welcomed,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of isolated me
Yeah.
because I saw what was wrong clearly, voiced
Yes.
it, and my opinion wasn't taken well.
Yeah.
Because when you're sensitive, like you said, you pick up on stuff that other people don't.
Yes.
You can
Yes.
hear stuff that people are not saying, and that kind of, puts a
Yeah.
target on your back sometimes, unfortunately, in this society that we live in.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
But yeah, I guess I can share from me. So I struggled with anxiety and depression from such a young age,
Yeah.
right? And it's like a consequence of being in really traumatic environments
Mm-hmm.
all the time, environments that didn't support me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's the case for a lot of us, especially in school systems, right? That treat us like robots, treat us like we don't have feelings. We just have to like go A to B to C every
Yes.
day. It's like there's
Yeah.
no room for humanity.
Mm.
Um, so that's real. That's
Mm-hmm.
real. And just internalizing that messaging that something is wrong with you. If you can't flow like that,
Yeah.
if it feels like you can't, I guess, conform
Yeah.
to that environment when there's so much pressure,
Yeah.
you do internalize that often as something is wrong with you when really it's just your environment. You're in a white
Absolutely.
supremacist environment trying to survive every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's no room for feeling in that environment.
There's none.
Mm-mm.
There's
Mm-mm.
no, no. But yeah, if you'd like to share like any lessons to your younger self
Yes.
around mental health, emotional
Mm-hmm.
well-being, I would love to hear it.
Yeah. So I wrote down your sensitivity is a precious and sacred gift. It was passed down to heal, feel, and to help others feel less alone. That's one thing I would say. And also, sorry, this last comment. I'm so sorry. Distracted me. But also in terms of mental health, I know I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
The Dark Knight. Thank you.
Hello. That's funny. Also,
You
the
said it
Dark
when I
Knight.
couldn't.
Yes, yes. That is hilarious. But also with mental health, right?
Mhm.
There's nothing to be ashamed of. There's
No,
there's nothing. You're having a
no.
reaction to the awful environments, people, experiences that you have experienced, right? These are
Hmm.
these are I want to say normal because what is normal? But these are valid responses to what you have experienced. Even with the anxiety, you feel anxiety because you felt unsafe. You felt like
Hmm.
you've had to have everything together, right? Like all these different things. So I would say to myself, seek help.
Hmm.
Seek help. There's no shame in it. And I'm saying this specifically as a Christian because I was told by other Christians, right, that you should need therapy, that Jesus is your therapist. And if you need therapy, literally, a friend told me this. If you need therapy, then something's wrong with you in your relationship with God. And
Oh.
that, yeah, that broke me. Like,
Hmm.
it broke me because it made me feel like, oh, I have mental health issues because I'm sinful, for lack of better words, because there's something wrong with me. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with you. There's
No.
there's nothing wrong with you, and it's okay to ask for help outside of Jesus, outside of the
Hmm.
church. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's okay. And no, nothing is wrong with you. We live in these systems that literally make it impossible to live, right? And we're just trying our best to survive.
That's it.
A lot of these systems create mental health issues, right? Just trying to survive day to day. The
Yep.
anxiety of like trying to have your basic needs met when
Yes.
everything is withheld from you. Resources that you need are withheld from you deliberately. How is
Right.
that not going to create mental health issues?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that could be another live, but yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Um, you're fine.
You're,
You're fine. That was the truth.
I would say
So
if it's
thank you.
true, it's true.
Yes. But yeah, moving to the next theme, friendships and relationships.
Yay.
Yeah, just your experiences making friends and how those experiences impacted you.
Mm-hmm.
I know that was one of the areas that was really hard, especially in middle school. Again, I keep going back to middle school. It was so hard
So
trying to make friends, trying to figure out who you are
mm-hmm.
to make friends in the first place and to have the right people around you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. So I'd love to
It
hear,
is a lot.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like I said, I went into the world thinking everybody was my friend. Like
Yeah.
everybody was my friend until I
Mhm.
realized like, oh, these people actually hate me. Like these people these people don't like me. And
Sorry.
no, yeah, no, I
Mhm.
appreciate that. I think obviously we're dealing with kids who have their own issues going on, but as a kid you don't know
Yeah.
that, right? You think like, oh, it's me, I'm the problem. Like, oh, I'm not as popular or as pretty as or as talented as or what, insert whatever here. And so that's why I don't have any friends. But it wasn't until middle school that I actually, for me, I actually started to become more of myself. Like I was always the weirdo, but I think in elementary school I was trying to not show so much because I didn't want to be bullied. Like I literally was bullied in elementary
Hmm.
school. And so when I got to middle school, shout out to Marcus, I met this group of friends who were also weirdos in their own right. I don't know if Marcus would call himself a weirdo, but he was like he was a part of the group that I was in, and I felt seen, and I didn't feel like I had to act. I didn't feel like I had to put on. I didn't like that was the first time I felt like, oh, okay, I could take a deep breath and be myself here, right? And this is how friendships could feel. Like it opened my mind to like what friendships could be like. And
Hmm.
shout out to my elementary school best friend Nicole Franklin, love you. She was like the only, she was like the main friend that I had in elementary school. But other than that, I think I had to learn that one, not everybody is your friend. For example, in elementary school, it's so mean. Kids are so mean.
They
But
are.
they are, and
They
I'm like,
are.
what? This
Oh my
this
gosh.
group of friends invited me to like a birthday party, but nobody was
Hmm.
gonna be there when I showed up. Like,
Oh no.
yes. And one of my other friends told me, like, hey, I think they're actually playing with you. Like, nothing's gonna happen. And so come to find out, they had made up this whole thing. Like, I was supposed to go to some kid's place.
Yeah.
Anyway, some kid's place like down the street, and they weren't gonna be there. And I found
Hmm.
out that they weren't gonna be there, right? And so I was so embarrassed. I was so like ashamed because I was like, oh my god, they really do want to be my friends, and come to find out like it's a whole lie. So I think after
Hmm.
leaving that in elementary school and going to middle school and being like, oh, this is actually what friendship could be like. From then on, I was comfortable with myself because there were people around me who were comfortable with me being myself, like not having to pretend to be somebody else, and I loved that for me. Love that for
Yeah.
me.
I love that for you too.
Thank you.
That's amazing to have that group of people who like supported
Yes.
you and saw you for who you were.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pivotal,
Yeah.
especially in like development at that age.
Yes.
Having that. I can't
I need
imagine that.
I
Yeah.
needed that. I needed that. And I really do think that was God's kindness. Like I'm not even it's no hyperbole. Like
Hmm.
I really feel like if I didn't find a healthy group of friends, I don't know where I would have been. I don't. I
Hmm.
had such low self-esteem. I like
Yeah.
it was just a lot. And like I said, I was developing early, so like I was trying to navigate all of that, and I was with people who didn't. I know it sounds crazy to say it, you know, when you're 12, 11, 12 years old, but like I didn't need to be I wasn't around people who made me feel like I had to be attractive in the way that they thought I had to be attractive to be loved. Like
Hmm.
I was able to be my goofy self, listen to the music that I like to listen to, be interested in the geeky stuff that I was interested in, you know, and still be held as sacred, you know. And I'm forever
Hmm.
grateful for that. Forever grateful for that. So
Hmm.
yeah,
I love that. I love
yeah.
that.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, I will say like in high school, that was the case
Mm.
for me. Like getting to that age and finally like having a group of people who saw me. For
Yes,
me, I was on the step team in high school, and that was pivotal in my
that's
development.
cool.
Yeah.
Yes, come on, step. I love that.
I did a little something, but
Okay.
yes. Yeah, that was pivotal to find that group of people. Um, like you said, just saw you for
Yes.
you. That's it.
Yes.
You could be
Yeah.
yourself and like take a
Yeah.
deep breath.
Yes.
Ooh,
Relax the shoulders a little bit.
relax the shoulders. I love it.
Yes.
I love
Mm-hmm.
it. Yes. Just looking through y'all's comments. Yes, that anti-blackness hit different in middle school. It
Mm.
did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It did.
Mm.
Ooh,
So
yes.
sorry.
Yes. Especially going to predominantly white schools
Mm.
all of
Mm.
my life. Yeah, middle school was intense
Mm.
because I feel like that's the age where people kind of realize, oh, I'm white and this is
Yes.
what it affords me. And I have to make you realize that you're not and all the things
Mm.
that come with that. So, yeah,
Mm. I'm
that's
really
real.
sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Really sorry.
Mara, you were? Oh my gosh.
Come
Okay. Don't let
on.
us get a little step team together. I love it.
Listen. That's funny.
Yes. Yes. Shout out to
Marcus.
Marcus.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Um, But yeah, I guess the lessons I would share in this
Mm-hmm.
area is, like you said, not everyone is your friend. I tried so hard to convince people to be my friend,
Yeah.
because it's really like impressed upon you that you need quantity, especially
Mm-hmm.
that at that age, like you need more friends
Mm-hmm.
versus
Mm-hmm.
quality friends, even if you have fewer. Um, and then not everyone wants to see you do well. Some
Yeah.
people want to see you fail,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Um, and it's okay to not trust certain people, right? And you get to decide who you want to be in relationship with. I think that's
Yes.
key,
Mm-hmm.
to be discerning and to know that you have the power to determine that for yourself, who you let in your circle, who
Mm-hmm.
you let in your life. You don't have to just let anybody that wants to be in your life in your life. I wish I would have known that at an
Yeah.
earlier age. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, moving to the last section, academic
Yeah.
and career expectations, which is huge. The
Yeah.
pressure to be a straight A student,
Yes.
to have perfect attendance, right? Scholarships, when we talk about high school, getting into college, that whole process,
Yeah.
that was a lot.
Yeah.
So how did that impact you, like that constant pressure to be
Oh,
perfect?
yes. But before I
Mm-hmm.
answer that, can I share something about the friendship
Yeah,
thing? If that's
please.
what you said about what you said about okay, so about okay, let me go back. You don't have to make everyone your friend. I didn't even
Mm-hmm.
realize that I could have standards for my friendships. I never like literally I was to like this
Me
years
neither.
old. I like this year.
Yeah.
This year I realized, huh, I can actually set standards for myself. I can actually say this is what I will and will not tolerate in my friendships. I think because when I was younger, I was so desperate for friendships that I took anything I could get. Like I literally took anything I could get. I accepted people's treatment of me because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is normal, right? And then I realized actually this is dysfunction. This is not
It
normal.
is. Yeah. Mm.
Yes, this is not
Mm-hmm.
normal. I don't have to, this is like a mantra I keep saying. I don't have to suffer to serve. I don't have to suffer to love. I don't have to bleed, right? Because of other people's brokenness. Like I literally said to my husband earlier, I don't have to bleed on your shards of glass because you're broken. That's not that's not
No.
that's not my job. Like I don't like
Mm-mm.
my job is not to bleed for you. And I feel like for a lot of my friendships, I stayed too long. I did too much. I did too much reaching. I did too much giving, as in like not giving, but like giving. Like okay, I give up, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, well somebody has to, and it was always me. And I'm just at this point now realizing I don't have to take that. I don't have to accept
No.
it. But it's also scary because it's like okay, now that I know I don't have to take it, that might mean saying goodbye to relationships that are familiar to me because they're not healthy for me. And
Yes.
even that coming to that realization is like actually I'm in charge of my own life. I'm in charge. I'm in charge of me. I'm allowed to say you can't play with me no more, right? This little child version of me because you're not
Mm-hmm.
safe. Your kid doesn't play nicely with my kid. So they can't hang out. Like I never knew I never knew that I could do that. Um and what I would say is like everyone is not as open and well wishing as you. Like some stuff isn't personal, right? Some
Mm-hmm.
people reject you because they reject themselves. It has nothing to do with you actually. Some people treat you mean because they're mean to themselves, right? Like um and you have people who love you completely. And also stop auditioning for these people. Stop auditioning
Mm.
for these people to be a role. No, you don't even want to be in a life. You don't even
Mm-hmm.
resonate with them. Like it's okay. It's okay. So anyway, but yes. Sorry, that's just
Oh
that struck a
no.
chord with me when you said that like you don't have to accept anything. I'm just realizing I don't have to accept anything. At
Mm-hmm.
33, I don't have to accept
Yeah.
everything.
Same here. Same
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going into my 30s, it's like you said, you
Yeah.
can have standards.
Yes. What?
That's that's so
Standards.
new.
It
Because
is.
we're taught like scarcity,
Oh,
especially
yes.
with friendships, right? You have to
Yes.
like hold on to everything so tightly when it needs to be let go. When you know everything in you is telling you it needs to let go, you let go. But
Period.
it's like that fear that nothing else better is going to come along
That.
leaves us to
Yes.
like cling.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. And
that's so
often when
true.
you're more committed than somebody else, it feels harder.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like, no, I'm committed to you. And it's like, oh, actually they're not
Yes.
committed to me. So yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, but yes.
it's
Thank you.
true. Yeah. Yes. Yes. So yeah, lessons I would share with my younger self. And then we'll go back to
Yeah,
the
sorry. I'm so
beginning.
sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So for me, I would say like do less, right? Breathe. Everything feels so intense. Especially I was thinking about like senior year in high school, trying to get into college. That process of
Girl.
applying to like 100,000 scholarships, doing an essay for everyone,
Oh
that
my
was a lot. That
gosh.
was a lot.
Yes.
Having
Yes.
straight A's, like the pressure to, get into this college and everything. And then when you get to college, it's traumatizing. And no one told you that was going to be like that, right? You have all these like high expectations and stuff like that. So yeah, life goes on. Life goes on. And everything is not so serious. You can kind of relax and
Yeah.
release your grip on
Yes.
things because I was so like type A from
Mm.
such a young age, trying to
Mm-hmm.
make sure everything like was in line perfectly, that I had like my scholarship set up,
Mm-hmm.
that I had my grades together, my GPA. That's a whole
Yeah.
other the pressure of having like a GPA. Ugh,
Yes. Yes.
I hate GPAs. But
I
yeah,
They're awful. They're awful.
they are
Ah,
unnecessary
yeah.
pressure all the time.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
There was there was a time, and I look back at this time like, girl, what was you doing? There was a time during school where I was playing a sport every season. I was making 4.12s or whatever it was, 4 point somethings, like beyond, because I was taking AP courses. And I'm like, no, I have to do well. Like, I have to make all A's. Like, I have to get a scholarship. When you talk about writing essays, then the trauma of like having to make yourself sound like a sad Black woman who needs
Girl.
help.
Yes.
Pity me.
Yes.
Please give
Uh-huh.
me money. Right?
Yes.
Like, and it's like, why, even looking back on that, I'm like, yo, that is so messed up. It's like, okay, you, sorry. Like, this is what I'm thinking in my mind. Like, it's like, okay, you Blacks, we only have a certain amount of spaces for you. So
It's
you,
true.
you have to sell yourself to me. Right.
Yeah.
And so that, like, that feeling of auditioning, applying for colleges, making the grades, getting the MVP on the sports team, right? I enjoyed sports, by the way, but it was still like,
Mhm.
no, this is an accomplishment. This is going on my resume, right? And none of that stuff matters anymore. Like,
But
none of
they
it
told us,
matters.
they tried to convince us that it would,
Yes,
that
yes,
it would carry
yes,
through our entire lives. Like, it
yes.
was not that
Mm.
serious.
And it's
Yes.
not. It wasn't that serious.
Hmm.
But yeah, yeah. Ooh.
True.
I think. Do you want me to share what I say to
Yeah.
my? Okay.
Please. Please. Yeah.
Um. I would say, like, you're worthy. You've always been worthy. These grades
Hmm.
don't mean nothing. This attendance don't mean nothing. Like, and not saying I'm not supporting truancy, right? But also, take the sick day. Like, I
Yeah.
literally, I
Uh
literally
huh.
remember being on the swim team, going to school with the flu. So sorry to anybody I got sick. I am so sorry. But I went to school with the flu, knowing that I was already sick. And halfway through the first class, I was like, I can't do this. I feel like I'm dying. And so I went to,
Hmm.
like, I would literally push through. That's funny. That's funny. But hey,
Oh
listen,
my
do what you got to
god.
do. Um,
That's right.
and also, like, and also there's nothing wrong with going to community college. That's something else I would say to myself.
Ooh, that's
There's
good.
there's nothing wrong with going to community college.
No.
You don't know what you're doing. You're
No.
18.
Hmm.
You're 18. You have your whole life ahead
Yes.
of you. You don't know, all this pressure is not healthy. And because what community college was sold to us was like, it's 13th grade. That's what
Hmm.
that's what they said.
That's real.
That's what they
Yes.
said. Like, that's not a real
Yeah.
school. I would have went to community college if it was all that, right? Like, so I think for me it's like, you're worthy. Like, none of this stuff
Hmm.
matters. The school you go to doesn't matter. None of this stuff matters. And then I would also say, the game is never ending. You trying to achieve and be enough, it's never, there's no bottom. There's no end. And so opt out. You don't have to play this game. Like, this game is
Mm.
rigged. You don't have to play. And you could be
Hmm.
your own version of success, whatever that looks like. And like, I also wrote down, none of this matters. Like,
None of it.
none of it matters. Because even with all that stuff on my resume, right? Looking like in my mind, the perfection, right? Like, looking like perfection on these resumes. And I say that jokingly. But I applied to these colleges and they still didn't want to give me anything. No money. Like, I think I qualified for like a $500 book grant, and we all know in college that means nothing. that is
Absolutely. That's one book.
that's one book. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's one book. And
Yeah.
the school that I went to Towson University. I applied. They put me on the wait list, and I feel like they were playing with me. I feel like
Hmm.
they were trying to make me feel. They didn't want to give me any money, so they were trying to make me feel blessed that I actually got in. But I met every qualification.
Right.
I far like I went beyond what they required, and they still treated me like anything. Like, be grateful that you're here. Be grateful that we're letting you in. It was just, the whole interaction was very condescending. You know how they had like they show up on your high school campus to let you in. It was
Uh-huh.
that.
Yeah.
And it was a black man too, and that's another conversation. But
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
he basically made me be like, oh, be lucky that we're actually letting you in, like that kind of energy.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So none of it matters.
I
All this
hate
stuff,
that.
they're not gonna like
I'm
you anyway,
sorry.
girl. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I appreciate that.
That's a lot. Yeah. I went to St. Louis University, and that was a whole, oh, that is a whole, definitely a whole other video of my experiences in college. Yeah.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
it does feel like exclusive,
Yes.
right? And they try to like push that message all the time because that gives them power and control over who to let in.
Hmm.
When really the whole thing is trash.
It's trash. It's
I would
trash.
not go to, I hate to say that, but I don't think I would go to college again. I don't
Me
think so.
neither. No.
It was too
If I
traumatizing. Yeah.
that like
Hmm.
beyond the friends I made, and it was a very traumatic 9 years for me. Like college, and when you're talking about like, oh, these would be the best years of your life, that's what I was told about college. I was like, I hope
Me
not.
too.
I hope these are not the best, because this was this was stressful. I don't want it. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's rough. It's rough.
It is. It is. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. In New York, community college
Lucky.
is free. Okay. I
Yes.
love that. Yeah, I wish I would have known that because I
Yeah.
felt pressure to just go straight from high school to four-year university, a prestigious university that costs like
Mm.
50,000 a year, I think. So
Ooh.
now I'm like in all this student debt. It's like
Yeah.
because of that pressure, I
Wow.
was put in that
Yeah.
pipeline
Yeah.
to go directly to there. It's like, and it ended
Mm.
up being such a horrible experience.
Oh, I'm so
And I know,
sorry.
yeah, I know that's the
Yeah.
case for so many people,
It is.
right?
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Whew. But yes, yes.
Reminisce.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Yes. So going to like a positive subject, right? Your
Yes.
videos on
Oh.
reconnecting with who you were when you were younger, which is what you talk about a lot. So I would love to know what inspired you to go into this topic because I know it has been
Yeah.
healing for me to
Oh.
really re-explore who I was when I was younger and pick those things back up.
Yes.
So yeah, I'd love to hear inspiration behind that.
Yeah. I tried to think of a time when I felt the most free, and it was when I was a kid. Like,
Yeah.
when I felt most like myself was when I was a kid, right before I learned, again, like, I learned how I had to show up in the world to be accepted and like validated and all this stuff. I think about my child self. I think about me, singing songs on the Casio piano and like running around and playing pretend and experimenting and making food that really wasn't food. It was like sunflower seed soup. It's a whole thing. But like there's there's like that is when I felt the most free. Like
Yeah.
outside of the gaze of anybody. Like, and besides my parents, right? Besides your parent, like, you kind of want your
Right.
parents to approve of you. But beyond that, like, that's when I was most free. And I realized that the dreams that I had as a child are the same dreams I have now. Like, if I'm being honest, what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be, was who I was at 5 before I entered the elementary school. Like,
Me too.
I knew, again, my mother gave me words. She gave me language, right? I was able to write books. Like, they had this thing in elementary school called like write a book contests where you would
Hmm.
put together, yeah, like I loved it. I loved writing a story. I loved putting stuff together. I loved making stuff with my hands. I loved singing. I loved listening to, like, I come from a very musical family. My grandmother, my aunts, my mom, like they're very musical. And I mean, yeah, they're very musical. I would even argue that some of them who don't sing are like they be singing
Hmm.
along, but they don't be singing. If that makes sense. So
Yeah.
so like music, I knew music. I wanted it to be a part of my life. I just didn't understand how to get there, and so I didn't think that was possible for me. And then I realized like even the stuff that I want to do, it doesn't have to be a profession. That's the first thing. Like,
Mm.
I don't have to make
So
money
like
from it.
freeing yourself from that. Yeah.
Yes. I can do stuff because I like doing it. It's like you realize you're the
Mhm.
adult now. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to ask permission
Ooh,
anymore. Like, you're the
I love
adult,
that.
you
Mm-hmm.
know? And so I get to show up in the world as long as it doesn't hurt anybody as I want to show up in the world. Like, whether it makes other people uncomfortable or not. Like, I get to be me. I get to give myself permission to be all of myself. And the parts of me that I was suppressing was my childlike self. And it made me depressed. It made me
Mm-hmm.
sad, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and so now I'm giving myself permission. I wanted to go back and like reconcile that relationship with my child self to be like, I'm so sorry. You were not wrong. Like, I'm so sorry that I tried to kill you off. I'm so sorry that I left you behind for what other people thought I had to be, you know, to be loved and to be seen, when whole time you were
Right.
lovely the entire time. You were amazing the entire time. Like, screw what everybody else is saying. Alecia, you're amazing. And
Yeah.
so for me, like, I
You
wanted
are.
to go back and be that
Mm-hmm.
person that I needed to say the things that I needed to hear someone say to me. So a lot of what I create is that, like, which is why I call myself like a healing artist, is because I'm healing through my art. Like, what I'm creating, what I'm
Mm-hmm.
making, what I'm saying. This is the process, like, in real time. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so going back is really coming back home. That's what it feels like. Like, going back to
Mm.
my childhood self is coming back home. The girl who rolled around in the grass and,
I love
saved
that.
kittens, from her neighborhood. Like, that's who I am. That's who I
Yeah.
am. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Ooh, that's key. That's key. You said something like the depression and the
yeah.
sadness that comes when we try to cut those parts of ourselves off.
Yes,
I was
yes.
just thinking about that, like me going into finance and realizing like I cut all of these creative parts of myself off
Yeah.
for all of my life, right? That I
Yes.
had to be a financial analyst where there's zero creativity and I was just in
Mm.
spreadsheets all day. And
Mm-hmm.
that kind of like killed parts of myself, right? That
Mm-hmm.
I'm just now kind of like
Right.
reawakening now, but
Yeah.
that's real.
I love
That
that.
pressure to have something that like makes money
Yes.
to get us into this pipeline, this robotic pipeline that we're in. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's real.
Yeah.
It's real.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'd love to ask like creativity. What
Mm-hmm.
role does creativity play in us reawakening these parts of
Yeah.
ourselves and like coming back home, like you said?
Yes. Ooh. I am of the belief that everybody is creative.
Yeah.
Everyone is a creative.
Mm-hmm.
Meals, business plans, teaching people all of this is creative. When we're finding a new way to work, that's creative. When we're
Mm-hmm.
stuck in traffic, being creative. Like, creativity is a part of our makeup, and I believe it's because we were created to create. Like, it just, we were created to create. Like, with
Yeah.
everything, everything you see is a creation of somebody, a dream of somebody else's. Like, literally, you look around, everything was in someone's mind before it was brought in a way that we can
Mm-hmm.
see it, or conception, a cup,
Yeah.
that doesn't get cold or hot. Like, that's somebody's that's somebody's creative invention. And so I think, for me, a big part of creativity is play. Like just playing around with stuff, not being so. I feel like we're taught to be so serious, like so
We
serious, and we have
are
to know.
all the
Yes,
time. Yes.
yes, yes. But it's like, be a kid again. Be curious. Change your perspective, right? Like, literally, lay on the
Hmm.
floor and look at your ceiling. When was the last time you did that?
Yeah.
When was last you hung your head over your bed and looked under your bed, like you did as a kid? Build a fort.
Hmm.
Do something that takes you
Oh,
out
I
of
love a good
this.
sport.
Me
Yes.
too. I love forts. I love forts. So, like,
That's taking me back. Hmm.
yes. So we're traveling. We were traveling last year in our car, in our
Yeah.
Prius, and I've been
Uh-huh.
sharing that journey, and I love it because literally it felt like living in a fort, like
I love that.
in a little tiny
It
small
feels so
space.
cozy. I love
Yes. Exactly. So it's like, literally, it's just like, we be waiting until the weekend or until vacation or whatever to be a kid again, and it's like, no, like, we need to be children daily.
Hmm.
And by that, it doesn't mean like throwing a tantrum, or maybe it does, right? It by
Hmm.
by being a kid, kids are the most honest people on the planet until they're
Yeah.
taught to lie. Until
Hmm.
they're taught to lie, kids are the most honest people. And by lying, I don't mean don't tell the truth. Lying is also don't speak the truth. Don't speak what you're thinking. put that down. Be who I'm telling you to be, right? And so like
Mm-hmm.
for me, when we are most honest is when we're childlike, like when
Mm-hmm.
we're exploring our curiosities, when we're saying our thoughts. Like, have you ever thought about why? I don't know. I'm trying to think of something random, but like, have
Yeah.
you ever like asking those questions, allowing ourselves to not know, to be curious and do the thing anyway, like experimenting with food. Like, it doesn't have to be like, even though I'm all for quitting your job, it doesn't have to be like quit your job and like, do this creative whatever. It's like, no, in the little things, right? Like, listen to a different music station on your way to work, play around with
Mm-hmm.
it, see what happens, right? Like,
Yeah.
taking yourself out of who you think you have to be, the serious adult, because when we're kids, we look up to adults like they have everything figured out. No, they don't. And it's okay that you don't have
You know.
everything figured
And
out.
once you, yeah, and once you get to that age, it's like, oh my gosh, they really
Yes.
didn't have anything figured out because I certainly don't. I don't know what I'm doing day to day.
No. And God bless the
Yeah.
parents because that's scary. The thought of
Hmm.
you have to have all the answers for your kid, that's a lot.
It
Okay.
is.
It's a lot.
It is. It is. Woo. Yes. The Dark Knight. Yes. I have to. Yeah. Listen, reminds me when I got the job at the bank, they literally gave us a script we had to recite to customers. Yeah. Couldn't use my personality at all. Had to be sitting there in a tight ass suit spouting nonsense.
Boo.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Because they want to take away our humanity
That part.
all the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just make us into automatons.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's real. But yeah, as we're wrapping up,
Yes.
I did want to ask how your younger self influences your work with Black Girl Creative,
Hmm.
um, and how do you think the teachings of Black Girl Creative would have benefited her?
Oh, that's a good one. How the teachings.
Yeah,
So I literally allow my childhood self to lead Black Girl Creative. Like, Black Girl Creative is
I love
literally
that.
like, yes, like it's it's a playground for my child self, which is really just me, right? Like, and I use my child self as the permission, but I'm also starting to change that the way that I speak about
Hmm.
that because it's like, oh, and thank you for sharing, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
also using that to change the way that I speak about myself because I think we say childhood self almost to give ourselves permission to be playful or to be curious, but it's like
Hmm.
even as an adult I still have permission to be playful and to be curious, and even more so than I did as a kid. And so Black Girl Creative for me is almost like a love letter to my little childhood self. Like, it's a permission, it's a playground, it's something done in honor of her, and I'm trying to help other Black women get in touch with their child self because whatever it is, right, whatever you're creating, because I believe everybody's creative. What it really is an invitation to play. It's really
Hmm.
just an invitation to have fun,
Yeah.
like to kick your shoes off for a second and let's talk about let's talk about the thing, like in the garden, for example. What I loved last 2 weeks, it
Hmm.
has been my favorite 2 weeks. We're doing show and tell.
It has. Yeah.
Show and tell,
Hmm.
right? Because how often do people ask you like, "Hey, what are you working on? Can we see it?" Right? Like giving yourself permission to be seen, but also just to see yourself, even for people who didn't share, right? But like,
Right.
you're allowed to play. You're allowed to try different things, to be creative. And I think for my childhood self, if she were to be supported in the way that I hope to support other people and hope to support myself,
Hmm.
I think I would have taken more chances. I think I would have.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think I would have not tried to play it safe.
Hmm.
Because literally, the work that I'm doing, excuse me, is play. The music I'm creating, that's play. The things that I'm writing is play. Like, the spaces that I'm curating, it's play. Like, it's play, but it's not careless, right?
Right.
It's intentional play. So yeah, so I think for me, it's the safest place to be is when I'm creating. And I think that when Black women allow themselves to be creative, they're allowing themselves to be honest. They're allowing
Mm.
themselves to see each other, to see themselves, as in like each other, allowing them to see
Right.
themselves and then each
Yeah.
other. But yes, yes.
That's key. That's key. And just being in the spaces you've created over the past like year and a half,
Oh,
this really allowed me to heal, right? And tap back into who I really am. So thank
oh,
you.
oh,
Thank you
you're
for these spaces
welcome.
that you continue to create. They're
Thank
powerful
you.
and they've changed
Oh,
so many of our lives, right? Just having
wow.
access to that
Yeah.
information, that ability to play, and to not take life
Yeah.
so seriously.
Yeah.
Kind of just,
Yeah.
relax,
Yeah.
breathe. Where are
That
we
is
going? Mm-hmm.
that like
Yeah.
where why are we so serious? And being so serious is killing us. And like and
Yeah.
I really want to put like I invite people to create because people are dying because they're not creating. And I'm being so
Yeah.
serious when I say that, like
Yeah.
literal. When we talk about heart attack, stroke, cancer, right, high blood pressure, all these different like chronic illnesses are caused by stress. And we're so stressed all the time, we have no outlets. We have no
Mm-hmm.
outlets. And so if you need to sing and dance, if you need to paint, if you need to, deconstruct something and gather some leaves or whatever, like do that because you're saving your life. Like, and I also have this belief that that dreams don't die, right? They turn to a cancer. Like I've like
Mm-hmm.
they turn
Yeah.
to a cancer, and I feel like the reason why a lot of people are so wound so tightly, why people are very envious and jealous of other people, why people are frustrated with each other. A lot of it is because, oh, that makes me
Yes.
happy. Thank
I'll read it. Tea Time Beauty.
you.
Yes. Black Girl Creative changed my life. I take it on each nature walk with me and read a chapter. Yes. And Black Girl
Wow.
Creative is your book that you wrote?
Yes, it
Yes.
is. It is.
I love it.
Yes. I want black women to be well, and I want them to know like y'all are creative, period. It's not even about like it's not about having kids, it's not about none of that. Like your very essence is creative. Like you are fertile soil. Like you're fertile
Mm-hmm.
soil. Anything you put your hands to is going to grow. And it also our creativity benefits everybody else. Like our creativity benefits everyone. And so I wish that we weren't told that it's not a viable option, that it's silly or that it's extra for playtime or for vacation. It's like, no, it's for every day. And you can
Mm-hmm.
heal through creativity. You can connect to other people through creativity. You can build community through creativity. You can save the world through creativity. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. That says yes. That Black Girl Creative is life for us older girls too. Yes.
Yes. Hi,
Yes.
Yvette.
Sonic 641. Black Girl Creative is a type of space community I've been searching for since childhood. Creative
Wow.
freedom, play, and support is beautiful and freeing. It is. It is.
Thank
All of
you.
that. Yeah. So thank you. Thank
Bless
you
you.
for creating these spaces. Seriously.
Oh, thank you.
Um, yeah. I wanted to ask as we're ending how people can continue to support you in your work, Black Girl Creative, your campaign that you have for the Love Letter Project.
Thank you. Yes.
Mhm.
If you would like to support my work, you can find me over on YouTube's. You can find me at Alecia Renece. If you Google me, I'm there, right? So Instagram is just really for play. I don't really be doing nothing serious over there. It's my playground. But YouTube, I you can also sign up for my newsletter that's on there. But also I do have a campaign called the Love Letter Project. And this project is a love letter for Black women where I'm
Mhm.
creating music, writing, and in the spring, hopefully, photography and storytelling, where Black women can tell their stories, be platformed, connect with one another. I want to go on like a bubble and picnic tour. So there's a lot there, and also this campaign is also to help me rest because I've been a full time artist for 7 years at this point, and I'm tired, and I need help. And so that's my campaign. If you would like to support it, I'm grateful because we're like 10% of the way to the goal at this point, and that's mind blowing because I didn't even think to ask for help. Like asking for
Yeah.
help is still kind of new for me. So
Mhm.
yeah,
I totally get that. Hmm.
yeah, and thank you. One, thank you for having me here, for inviting me, for sharing, for supporting, and sharing my stuff. You don't have to do
Of
that. You
course.
don't. But I appreciate it. I really do appreciate
Of
it.
course. Of
I really
course.
do.
It's my
I really
pleasure.
do.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I do want to say by supporting and by doing this thing, one thing I do want to say about like my childhood self is like what feels really good is that I'm making her dreams come true. And it feels really good. It feels really
Yeah.
good because it's not done through the lens of like what I thought success had to look like. Like it's okay to ask for help from your community, right? You don't have to get signed by a record label. You don't have to, gratefully we're in 2023. Like you don't have to do these things to make your dreams come true. And
Right.
for anyone listening, like you can make your dream come true. Like I don't care what it is, you can make it come true.
Mm.
Like I said, I'm an optimist. I'm an idealist. Okay, anything is possible. Okay, anything is
Yeah.
possible. So,
Uh-huh. You
but
can make
yes,
your dream come true. Yeah, and like you said, we're
yes,
in 2023. There are a lot of options
yes,
that exist
yes,
that allow you to do that didn't exist before,
absolutely,
right? Like
absolutely,
holding concerts and all these things that you can do
yes.
on your own without asking for approval from someone who
Mm-hmm.
really doesn't get it, who really
Yeah,
doesn't value you
that
and
part.
what you create.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of take your power back into your own hands
Yes,
now.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep, yep, yep. I love it. I love it. Yes. Okay. That quote about
Mm-hmm.
holding space for multiple truths. Yeah. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you. Yes. And it's just
Yes.
me being in the garden, right?
Aw,
In your communities that have allowed me to tap back into my love for writing.
that makes me happy.
Because, yeah,
You're
that's
such a
something
good
that I like.
writer. You're a
Oh,
really good
thank
writer.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
That means so much. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome. It's true.
you. Yes. Oh, thank
Period.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Period.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yes.
But yes, y'all. As we're winding down, thank y'all so much for everything you put in the chat. As always,
Yes.
all the
Oh.
knowledge that you shared. And thank you, Alecia, for being
Oh.
a wonderful guest, as
Thank you for
always.
having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. And sharing everything that you've shared, which has, I'm sure, changed people's lives just,
Aw.
tonight. So
Thank you.
thank you.
You as well. You as well. You shared beautiful things. You talking about gems. Like you've shared a lot of gems. And it's been
Thank
really
you.
inspiring for me too. So thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Of
Thank you.
course.
I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Tea Beauty, yes.
Aw.
Powerful as always, the garden has us, it really does, has us all
Oh,
cheesy in our section.
yay.
Yes.
That makes me
Yes.
happy.
Yes, y'all. I hope you'll have a beautiful night.
Yes.
Yeah. Until next time. Thank you so
Yes.
much for being here. Bye.
Bye.